Good morning, everyone. First of all, thanking you for having me here, welcoming me here. Thanking Justin sir and Gallant IAS for having me here. This session was supposed to be a prelims orientation session, so I will focus on that only because UPSC. I hope everyone is like familiarized with the all the syllabus and the procedures of the exam. So I'll strictly restrict myself to prelims alone because UPSC itself, the whole thing is a very vast thing to discuss, and I don't think I can cover everything in just 1 or 1.5 hours. So the session's name itself is Do's and Don'ts for Prelims, especially since the prelims is very near. So I'll first focus on I'll mainly focus on prelims only. And if you have any doubts regarding any other things or any other procedures or any other levels like mains and interview, etc., you can ask me that. I can answer that also. So so let's begin with prelims. Prelims, as you all know, is a qualifying paper in UPSC. It is the first level that you enter. That is the qualifying level of UPSC civil service examination. Out of the three levels, this is one of the most dreaded levels because many people sometimes get out in this level because of the sheer unpredictability of the exam as well as the question paper that UPSC puts in. Uh, so this is one of the most dreaded levels. Even the people who gets into service or has gotten into interviews multiple times or have cleared prelims multiple times still fail to clear prelims. So that is why this level prelims is much dreaded. But the thing is, it's not something to be very afraid of. If you prepare strategically, if you know how to tackle certain aspects of prelims, you can clear this level. I will say from my own experience, it's there is no what do you call? There is no hard written rules or hard written do's and don'ts for prelims. Everyone approaches prelims in their own way. So my way of approaching prelims, I will say from my own experience. Uh, I have written prelims without preparation twice actually. When I was out of college, I passed out in 2014 and I worked in TCS for 2 years. So when it was my final year, I appeared in prelims just for the sake of it because UPSC was inviting applications for civil service and it was just 100 rupees to apply. So I never imagined in my life that I would write UPSC prelims later in my life. So I just went and appeared. I didn't even know the syllabus. I didn't even know how many stages are in the examination, to be frank. I just gave one optional. I think I selected political science as my optional because you have to select an optional. And I just gave it. So that was in 2014. Obviously, I didn't clear. So that was a stage I didn't even know the syllabus. Then I gave the prelims once again while I was walking, actually right after resigning. That also was a prelims which I didn't prepare at all. I had studied. So the difference between preparation for prelims and studying for UPSC is that preparation for prelims needs a lot of practice. In fact, every stage of UPSC needs practice, but mock prelims test series is something that is very, very important because if you're not really used to the what do you call it, the knack of prelims, it's very hard to clear it. You have to complete 100 questions, and these days the questions and options and the sentences that UPSC give us options is too long that you take a lot of time to even read and comprehend it. So if you don't have that practice, it's very hard to clear prelims. So in 2016, when I appeared for the second time, I had decided that I would study for UPSC and I had designed my job. So it was right after resigning my job. So I didn't have any time to appear for any kind of mock test series or a test series or something like that. I wrote like 2-3 exams that was like sectional tests of some institutes, but I didn't write a proper test series. Uh, there was 1 month left for my exam. So what I thought was I would just sit and study because I hadn't studied anything. So the that time I didn't like that is the difference. Like I had studied for 1 month, and I'm pretty sure that I had the knowledge that is required to clear prelims, because the knowledge that you require prelims is not a lot. You can go through the previous year question papers, you can go through the syllabus, and the previous year question papers helps a lot because you can understand which are the important topics and the points where UPSC focuses a lot. These years it is changing a lot because UPSC is making it so random. But in 2016 and 17, you could just go through a 10 or 15 years previous question papers, and even though UPSC doesn't repeat questions per se, you can make out which are the important topics. For example, in modern India, UPSC used to always ask about some kind of organizations, the people who started those organizations. Then they always used to ask about Congress sessions, important sessions, the important presidents, like who was the first Muslim president, who was the first female president. Not like that, but in sentences. So also in modern India, they used to ask about different stages, like Swadeshi movement, different movements, Swadeshi movement, civil disobedience movement, or Quit India movement. For example, another example is in polity, they used to focus a lot on fundamental rights and fundamental duties. Even now, they focus on that. But previously also they used to focus on that. So what I did was I only had 1 month to prepare for prelims. So I didn't have any other choice other than to focus on the priority topics. So I just went through the previous year question papers, and compilations are available in the market. So I just went through them and made a note of what are the most frequent questions that UPSC asks. Like the one that will give me the best benefit out of the time that I will put in. So that exercise, even though that didn't help in that prelims, have helped me in the next or the succeeding attempts. So that year, what my problem was that I never had written a proper prelims examination before the real UPSC prelims. So when I went in there and gave my attempt, I didn't have enough time to attempt most of the questions. And I still remember I only attempted like 69 questions or something, which is very low. And I counted 69 just when the time was over. And when I was getting out of the room, I was sure that I was not going to get in, because 69 is not a number that you want to, uh, as an attempt in the UPSC prelims. You need at least 80 plus. So there is no hardcore rule about how many questions that you have to attempt in prelims, but it is always safe to have 85 plus. It is always safe to have 85 plus, because even the questions that you attempt, which is you're 100% sure of, might not be correct. So you have to take chances, and you have to take risks, and you have to attempt questions which you're not 100% sure of. In that attempt, I obviously didn't clear. I didn't even know that I could check my marks. So I didn't check my marks when the results came. So the next year was the first time I actually prepared for prelims. So that was in 2017. So I had already resigned, as I said, from my jobs, and I went to Trivandrum. I prepared for almost 1 year. I reached Trivandrum in September. I started studying for prelims in January. And that year I cleared prelims pretty well, because I was like 40-45 marks above the cutoff. That is because I prepared only for prelims. I dedicated all of my effort just for prelims, and that actually affected my mains, because I didn't study anything for mains. I didn't write a single answer. I didn't know the importance of answer writing. So even though I'm focusing on prelims in this session, you must understand that prelims is just a qualifying round, and it is mains examination that determines whether you are in the list or not. There is no trophy or prize or consolation for anyone who clears prelims. Even if someone gets 200 out of 200, nobody will get 200 out of 200 still. There is nothing for the person who gets like 10-50 marks ahead, more than the cutoff marks. If you have cleared the cutoff by even by 0.66 or 0.33 marks, you are in. that like the person who have cleared it more than 50 marks above the cutoff, and you will have like, there will be no difference between you, both of you. So the thing is, you just have to clear prelims. So what you need to do is you have to focus on mains also. I won't tell you to focus on mains at this point, because many people will be apprehensive, skeptical of prelims, and must have started preparing just for prelims. But what you can do is you can dedicate like 1 hour a day for your optionals or answer writing, other things like that, because that will give you a lot of confidence once you clear the prelims. Once you clear the prelims, once you know that you're safe, after the exams, sometimes after the exam, you'll feel that okay, you will clear the cutoff. So at that point, the efforts that you put in right now, like 1 hour a day for answer writing or optional or something like that, will give you a lot of confidence. You should remember that the 1 hour that I'm telling you is not the 1 hour. If you are putting in like 6 or 7 hours a day, if you have to put in a lot of time, there is no rule for the number of hours that you should put in. The most important factor is you should be productive in whatever time you're putting in. But it's always good to have at least like 10 hours a day if it's possible. I know there will be people working. I was working when I was first preparing. I know the difficulties. There will be people with other responsibilities also, but whatever time you put in, like, make the most out of it. So proportionally you can dedicate, like, if people are there are people with other responsibilities, proportionately you can dedicate like 15 minutes or 20 minutes a day for your answer writing or optional. Do answer writing every day. It will definitely help you after prelims. Like, write just 2 answers every day. That will not take a lot of time. So that is something that you have to keep in mind. Okay, that completely immersing in prelims is also a mistake. That is a daunt that you have to avoid. That is a daunt that you have to avoid. Completely immersing in prelims and just forgetting about mains is that something that you have to avoid. It also doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice your prelims for mains. Okay, so there has to be a balance, and that balance depends upon the individuals. If you have confidence that you have covered mains properly, and you are strong in your optional, you have revised it at least once, then just go for prelims. It's not an issue. But if you are still not very confident about your answer writing and still not confident about your optional and essay and stuff, do dedicate some time. If it's not every day, at least in a week, do dedicate some time. It will give you a lot of confidence after prelims. And that matters, because in this exam, it's not knowledge and effort that matters. It's the confidence, because you dedicate like 1 year, 2 year and everything, and everything will get the benefit in just 3 hours that you 2 hours or 3 hours that you sit in the examination hall. Just think about it. You will study for 2 years, and you have to get the benefit out of it in 3 hours or 2 hours in the examination hall. So your mindset matters a lot. So it is the confidence and confidence alone that will get you through this examination. People will say about hard work, perseverance, what do you call it, productivity, efficiency, all these things, but confidence is what matters. You should have the confidence that you will clear this exam, because this exam is tough because it is competitive. If only like 1,000 people or 2,000 people writes this exam will be very simple. Like, half of the people who write this exam will clear, but that is not the case. Like, around 10 lakh people apply for it. 8 lakh people, around 8 lakh write the prelims. So it is tough because it is competitive. So the edge that you will get over the others will be the preparation that you do, plus the confidence that you will clear this exam. Even if you have a very bad first 10 questions, don't become hopeless. Don't leave your guard. Don't leave your place. Just be in that place and be confident. Just know that if you have put enough effort, it will. If you have got a tough question, it will be tough for everyone. So that is one thing that you have to be. That is one do that you can keep in mind. Never like become hopeless even if the first 10 questions that you get prelims is like very tough and you don't get the answers, because there are 4 sets of question papers, and the easy questions might be coming up in the later pages, or it might be at the very end. So don't lose hope if it's very tough for you in the beginning. keep going, keep reading the questions, and sometimes when you go for the second round, you might get the answers for the same questions that you didn't get in the first round. So don't get hopeless, don't feel hopeless, be confident. That is one of the most important thing that you have to be in all the levels of UPSC examination, be it prelims, be it mains, be it interview. Confidence is something that will get you through. So that is something that you have to keep in mind. Now coming to the prelims as a exam, how to approach it. So to be frank, it's very difficult to give advice for prelims right now, because if you look at the last 3 years of examination, especially the previous examination, that is 2020 examination. I mean, that was 2021 examination. Sorry, so 2021 examination prelims that I also wrote. It's very random. Like, they even asked 3 questions from sports. Okay, so UPSC never asked from sports. UPSC have asked from sports, but that was like 20 years before. So people will be like, should I prepare for sports? Should I read the sports section in Hindu question papers? There is no answer to it. But in my opinion, you should not focus a lot on sports questions, because it might be a one-time thing. If UPSC continues this trend for like 1, 2, 3 years, then okay. They just asked it for 1 year. They might not ask it next year. So the cost of putting in effort to learn a lot about sports is not worth it, in my opinion. People might have different opinion. In my opinion, it's not worth it. So I don't think you should spend a lot of time in sports. If you're a person who is very interested in sports, like there are people who follow cricket, there are people who follow Formula One, there are people who follow Olympics. So if you're a person like that, then obviously you must be knowing certain stuff. Other than that, if you're not at all interested in sports, or like don't know a lot of stuff about sports, I don't think you should put in a lot of effort right now, because you can focus in a lot of other matters which will benefit you more. The effort that you put in sports can be diverted to topics like polity, modern India, etc., which will give you more marks. And even if you put in a lot of effort in sports, there is no guarantee that they will ask you a question from a sport that you focused on. Sports is a very wide subject and vast subject, and I don't think even the people who were very interested in sports and used to follow sports got all the answers correct in the last four questions that UPSC asked. In fact, I used to follow test championship cricket question that they asked, world test championship, and I knew one of the statements, and the other statement I was actually doubtful whether it's correct or not, and eventually I got it wrong also. So I was a person who used to follow that event, international test championship, world test cricket championship, but I couldn't get it right also. So the bottom line is, I don't think you should put in a lot of efforts for sports, especially reading sports, 2, 3 sports pages in Hindu every day, because already you must be taking around 1.5 hours to read Hindu and make notes. So this time that you extra put in, I don't think it will give you a lot of benefit. You basically might not even ask sports in the coming years. Like, you can't be really sure, because UPSC is really unpredictable and they might even ask sports. But in my opinion, I don't think it's worth it. Even if you don't get the answers for like 2 questions, you can compensate in other sections. So I think I attempted 2 out of 3 questions that they asked in sports, and I got 2 wrong also. I didn't get any marks for sports, but I cleared prelims decent margin. I got even the forest service cutoff. So you can sacrifice sports, if you ask me, and concentrate on other sections. But do concentrate on other sections so that you can score better marks. Then so I'm talking about prelims in the recent scenario perspective. If I had been talking to you 2, 3 years back, the entire topic will be different. It will be much easier, but it's very difficult to cover prelims at this scenario, because UPSC has made prelims so random. It's very difficult to give advices, as I said. So regarding sports, it's that. Then if you look at UPSC question paper of 2021, the other thing that you will notice is UPSC has brought back the basic science section back. So if you have see in question papers of 2014, 15, etc., you might find questions of basic physics, chemistry, basic biology, etc., which kind of disappeared from 2016. From 2016, they are asking applications, not strictly from 16, I would say 17, 17, 18, 19. They just asked about applications, like advanced applications, like genetic engineering, then gene editing, three parent baby. I think it's their favorite topic because they have asked the question like 3 or 4 times now. From 2017, 3 times at least they have asked. In last year also they asked. Previous 2020 also they asked. So UPSC is actually repeating the topics, to be frank. In fact, the constitutionalism, that word constitutionalism, the meaning was asked in 2020. The same thing they asked in 2021. So it is a very good thing if you could. It is a must thing that you should go through the previous year question papers. At least from 2013, you should go through, because it's just 7 years. You can easily go through the question papers from the online sources. Or I think in Vision IAS they have a section where you could attempt the previous year question papers online. So that is easier, because you can attempt and you will get the answers, also the explanations and keys also. So this thing you should do. Okay, that has twin benefits. One, you will understand which all topics that UPSC focuses on, and what kind of reading you should do. Like the reading that you should do for mains and the reading that you should do for prelims is different. In prelims, you have to take note of some numbers, some years. It's not strictly something that you should focus on, but factual things are important for prelims. So you will understand how to read NCRTs or your Lakshmi Kant or whatever it is that you're reading. You will get an idea of what to focus on. That you will only get by reading UPSC previous year question papers. Yes, mock test series are important. You should do mock test series of any institute. You can go for any institute, any decent institute, any reputed institute is fine. It's not necessary that you should do multiple test series. Just focus on one test series and do that like full test. Like they will be conducting sectional tests, right? So they will be conducting for ancient India, they will be conducting for modern India. So out there will be like 20, 25, 30 tests, and they will do a more comprehensive test, like 3-4 tests also. So go through the entire cycle, because they will that test will almost cover the entire syllabus. That and revise that. That is one thing. Then if you have time left, go for other test series or comprehensive tests or whatever you want. Make sure that you do one test diligently. And since it is like online test these days, make sure that you do offline tests. Like even if it's not possible for you, take printouts of OMR. It's freely available in online. So take printouts of OMR and do offline tests. That is very, very important, because the process of darkening the bubbles, like there are 100 questions. So if you attempt like 90 questions, you have to darken like 90 bubbles, and that should be correct. There are many people who get it wrong. Like they will get the answer correct in the question paper, and when they mark it in the OMR sheet, they will get it wrong. And trust me, there are people who lose 1 year just because of 0.66 marks. That is like 1 negative marks, and all they lose out on prelims just because of that. So every single question, every single marking matters. So make sure that you do the OMR marking. That is something that I have done every year without fail. Even if I have like compromised on prelims preparation, like in my succeeding attempts, like in 2017, I got very good marks in prelims. I had like 147 or something. I became so confident that I didn't prepare much for prelims the next attempt, because I told you I sacrificed my mains preparation in the first attempt. So what I did was, in 2018 attempt, I focused more on mains, and I only did prelims preparation for 2 months. Even in that 2 months, what I did was I was at my home only, but I downloaded some OMR sheet and did the practice. So you should have that offline practice. That is very important. And one thing that you can do and that will help you is try doing objective type questions, that is prelims type questions, like 20 questions a day. Okay. That will certainly help you, because your brain will automatically get adjusted to objective type questions, and it will certainly help you to save time. Time is very important in UPSC because it's very, very essential that you go multiple rounds through the question paper. In first round, you might not get answers for all questions. There will be some questions in which you will be doubtful. In the second round, it might become more clear to you. You will be able to eliminate 2-3 options, maybe 2 options. In the third round, you might get answer for that. There are some questions like that. So it is very important that you should be able to go multiple rounds, at least 2 rounds. If it's possible, 3 rounds. Three rounds are very difficult now in UPSC because of the sheer length of the paper and the length of the statements that they give. But that speed will come with practice. So that is why this offline OMR attempting, as well as doing the like 10, 15, 20 questions a day helps. Okay. So in 2017, what I did was I used to do this IAS Baba 60 days plan. So I never used to keep track of these days, okay, because it used to like it actually makes you tense. But if you're a very lazy person, it actually helps to keep track of these days if you're a very lazy person. Otherwise, if you're studying with so much diligence, you don't have to keep track of these days because you'll study anyway. So since I was a lazy person, I sometimes used to keep like look at the days, but I never used to keep track of it every day. So I was just asking how many days are left. So 77 days are left. So this is a very good time. Like even if look, there will be some people who are still not confident about prelims. I'm damn sure there are like at least 20-30% of you who are not very confident about prelims even now. So even for these people, I'm sure that all of you can clear even if you start now. Okay, that is how prelims is. Like there are people who doesn't clear prelims even if they prepare for 1 year, and there are people who can clear prelims even if they prepare like for 2 months. It's not about their ability per se, it's about the way that they prepare and the way they attempt prelims. Okay, so trust me, even the people who are still not very confident, still have not started properly for prelims, even now can clear the prelims. 77 days is enough. Okay, just understand that. Don't give up hope, because even the topper of next year, that is the first ranker who is going to be the first ranker next year, will not be very confident at this point of time. Just understand that UPSC is such a process that everyone has got a level playing field. Okay, in terms of confidence also, sometimes even the toppers are not confident before the results come. Only after the results come and they know that they will clear, that they will be happy. Okay, so even those people, I'm saying for those people also, just you can start even now and still clear prelims. You just have to do it in the right way. And there is no strict right way. There is not a single right way. There are multiple ways, but these are the things that you can do to increase your chances. Like get used to that objective type questions. Get your brain used to that objective type questions. Do like 20 questions a day. It will not take a lot of time. 20 questions a day will not take a lot of time. You can find time in between. You just plan your time so that you get time for all of this. Sitting and studying will not help you. Sitting and studying for 16 hours a day alone will not help you. Trust me on that. I have seen people studying for 16 hours, 15 hours, 14 hours a day and still didn't clear prelims. I have seen that. So it's not just studying that will get you through UPSC. It is the practice. If you study for 14 hours a day and if you couldn't attempt 80 questions in prelims, just imagine your situation. You will be heartbroken. So practice is very important, and practice start with the previous year question papers. If you can sit and do UPSC question papers, 100 questions in 2 hours, starting now, it's possible. It might not be possible when 1 month is left, because you won't be feeling like attempting previous question papers that time. You will be studying all the time. But now, if there are people who haven't attempted previous year question papers, prelims question papers, do that. If you are not able to start from 2013, you can attempt like from 16, 17, 18, 19. Like it will take 2 hours a day, right? So you can do it like not every day. You can do one per week or something. Do that. That will help you, because that will get used to what the pattern of UPSC. So even when the pattern has changed a lot, UPSC has certain things that they hide in these options. Like even if you don't know an answer, if you don't know even if you don't know anything about the topic that they have asked, you could still get answers for UPSC questions. So I had planned to show you some of the questions like that, but the problem was since I was very sick, I was bedridden for last 2-3 days, so I couldn't really come up with the questions. But if you go through the previous year questions and answers, first go through the question, and even if you know nothing about it, like you know 0% about it, try attempting the questions, try eliminating the options. Elimination is something that is must for prelims. The Without elimination you won't clear prelims, because you will not know the answers of all the questions. That is for sure. There will be like 50-60 questions that you will know the answers. In that also you will be 100% sure about like 30-40 questions only. So 20 questions you will be like 80-90% sure, and there will be like 40-30 questions you are not sure about. There will be like 10-20 questions you have no idea about. There will be like 10 questions you must not have ever heard about. So still you have to attempt these questions. That is how you clear prelims. Okay, I told you it is always safe to have 80 plus, 85 plus. So how do you get to 85 plus? It is through elimination and taking risks. So what you can do is, this is a method that I use. Everyone has their own strategies, but make sure that you work out your strategy, practice it like 100 times before going to the UPSC prelims hall. So what you can do is, you can try out strategies, you can try out methods, you can do different kind of things in the mock test that you're taking right now, and get a strategy right, and go and do it in UPSC. Don't do anything new. Don't try anything new in UPSC prelims hall. Like whatever strategy that you are trying to do, test in the mock test series. So what I used to do was, I go multiple rounds. That is what everyone does. Everyone goes multiple rounds. There is not a single person who will like go through a single round and answer all the questions. So everyone goes multiple rounds. So in the first round, what I used to do was, like everyone, I will mark every question that I'm sure of. In that itself, there is a difference. Some people will mark mark the questions only in the question paper. They will not write it in the OMR sheet. They will only mark the answers. Even if they are 100% sure about it, they will only mark it in the question paper. They will not mark on the OMR sheet, and they will do the second round, and they will go all the rounds and finally mark all the answers. That is one method that some people successfully do also, but I'm not very confident about that. Like whatever question that I get, I mark, because you never know. Like you can go wrong while you are looking and marking all the questions. You might not get time. Like whenever I get a question which I'm 100% sure of, I just mark it. That is how I used to do it. There are people who successfully do the other method also. You can try whatever method you want to. People do that because even if they're like 90% sure of an answer, they might have a different answer when they read it again. Okay. So if you don't mark that question right away in the OMR sheet, you have a chance of correcting it. But I don't do that. Even in fact, what I do is, in the first round, I mark the questions which I'm 100% sure of. And there are some questions in which you are not sure of the answer. You are not 100% sure of the answer, but you will have a tendency to go to an answer. If you are a person who attempted mock tests or prelims or something like that, you must know this feeling. You will have a gut feeling, okay, this is going to be the answer. And there are some questions in which you will only mark that answer. No matter how many times you read it, either you will not attempt that question, or if you attempt that question, you will only mark that option. So what I used to do was, I used to mark that options also, because I know that there will be questions that I will not be attending. That will be like 10 questions or 8 questions that I will not be attending. I never used to attempt all the questions. I never went above 93. So in my method, I will leave around 7 questions at least. 7, 8 questions I leave. I never went above 93 or 94. So I know that I will have to answer questions which I don't know. So these will be questions that I will mark anyway. No matter how many times I read, I will only mark this answer. There might be some questions like that. So I will mark that questions also in first round. So by the end of first round, I will have marked around 40 plus questions. Definitely 50 questions, 50 questions I will have marked. So in my first prelims, which was very easy for me because I had prepared a lot, and the question paper wasn't so random. I had attempted 60 questions. So I don't think more than 60 questions you will be able to mark in the first round, unless you are very lucky or very well prepared. And you have to be lucky also, because you never know what kind of questions UPSC put in. So it is not an issue even if you mark 40 questions, but you have to bear the thought in mind that you have to attempt 45 plus in next two rounds. Okay, so that you have to keep in mind, and you have to make sure that there is enough time left for the next rounds also. Don't waste a lot of time in the first round, because you have to go through other rounds also. So in the first round, what you can do is you can mark the questions which you're 100% sure of, and you can also mark the questions which like you will definitely mark. Okay, so that you can do. And you have to make sure that you have to make sure that you should save a lot of time. So how you can save time is, you will anyway read the question, right? In the first round, you will read all the 100 questions, and the options also you will definitely read. So you should make sure that you have to make the most out of it. How can you make the most out of it? In the second round, you should not read those options which you have already eliminated in your mind. So what you should do is, you're going through first question, you are 100% sure about it, you mark it. So even while okay, I am going to these details because these little thing matters in prelims. Every question matters in prelims. Mains, even if you don't know one question, you can make up some answer and write, but prelims is not like that. So prelims has a different picture altogether. So that's why I'm going to these minute details. So you mark it, you get the answer. So what I used to do was, I will mark that option in my question paper. I will just put a line over the option. Suppose my option is B. I'll just put a line across, not across, a single line over my B. I will look at the question paper, B. I will look at the question number. I will go to the OMR sheet. I was that careful. Okay. You should not mark the option wrong. You should not mark B option for the third question. You should mark the question for the second. I got the second question, that is B. So second question in OMR, B. There are people who mark wrong. Okay. There are people who have marked wrong and just got out in prelims just because of that. Okay. So that's why I'm going to these minute details. There will be first attempters also in this. That's why I'm saying all these reasons. There might be veterans also in this. So pardon me if I'm like going into so much details. So that helps because I have written 4 prelims and I have got only one question wrongly marked. Like one question I marked C instead of B or something, or I missed a question or something. Like instead of 56, I marked 55th question or something like that. So only once I have got it wrong. One question out of my 4 prelims that I wrote. So this helps because like you are marking first in question paper, so you know which option it is, then you are looking at it and mark. So it takes some time. That is why I told you to practice this. You have to practice this in mock test series. You will be very fast doing this, even though it sounds like it will take a lot of time. You will be used to this once you do it a lot of times. So that is something that I used to do. So I will mark the questions right away in the OMR sheet whenever the question comes and I'm 100% sure of it. Suppose I'm getting to a third, fourth question in which I'm not sure of. I will read the question. There will be, if it's a statement question, then there will be a final sentence, which is the question part. which of the following are correct or which of the following are incorrect. So correct and incorrect is something that you might get wrong. So what I used to do was I used to circle or underline that correct or incorrect thing. And before marking or getting to the final answer, I used to go to that underline and circle, because people sometimes will know the answer, will the statements correct or not, but they must have asked for the incorrect options and they might mark it wrong also. So that you can do, you can underline or circle the keyword, whether they have asked for the incorrect options or correct statements or incorrect statements. So one other thing that you can do is elimination. So when you read the question and when you read the options, there will be some options which you know are wrong. Okay, just put a cross mark beside that option. Okay, so if you are 100% sure that that option is wrong, just put a cross mark on the side of it. Never ever go to that option ever again in your subsequent rounds also. So just put a cross mark, that is gone. There you might be able to eliminate one other option also. So you can put a question mark, cross mark beside that also. So you eliminated two options. You are not very sure about the other two options. So if you are not able to come to a conclusion, go to the next question. So that continues. So what you can do is in the next round, don't even think about the other two options. Just read the question. You might not even want to read the question, because when you come to the question, you must have that in your mind, or you can just go through the question once more and just read the other two answers. Don't even go through the two options that you crossed out or put the cross mark beside the option. Those two questions, don't even worry about it. Don't even go through it. So that is one thing that you can do. Also, one thing that I used to do was, even in the first, that I used to do in the first round itself, even if you are not very sure about the other two options, like I already eliminated two options, right? And the other two options I'm not really sure of. But even in that two options, you will feel like one options will have a greater probability of getting correct because of some reasons. It might be your gut feeling. It might be something that UPSC does. For example, UPSC gives numbers incorrect. Like if they have given a number like 5, if they are asking a question about a missile and there is a parameter like the range is like 500 kilometer or 5,000 meter or something like that. So UPSC has a tendency to give those numbers incorrect, or they will just jumble the numbers. They might give years incorrect. It's not a hard and fast rule, but sometimes they do that. So you need to know all of this stuff, because it helps in elimination. Even if you get it wrong, that is fine, but you are attempting a question which you might not have attempted otherwise. You need to attempt such questions. So so it might be your gut feeling, it might be things like this, it might be the factual things that you know. So you will feel like, okay, this answer might be more, this my answer has a more probability to be correct than the other option. There are two options that is left, right? So what I used to do was I used to put arrow marks on these options. So two options I eliminated, so I put cross marks beside it. Two options are left. So besides these two options, I will put arrow marks, and the arrow mark will be longer in that option in I am which more confident of that. The one option has more probability to become an answer, right? In that option, I'll put a longer arrow mark. So I'll tell you the logic behind this. It's stupid, but it has worked for me. So the second round, when you come, even then, you might not reach a conclusion. You'll be so confused, and you don't want to get this wrong also, because it might get your positive marks. So you don't want to get this wrong also. You will leave it again. In a third round also, you might not be very sure about it. So there will be like 5 or 6 questions, or maybe more questions like this. You don't want to miss those questions, because if you have eliminated two options, you should attempt it. That is another do that you have to do. If you're able to eliminate two options out of 4 options, you should attempt that questions. That is mandatory, because that has a 50% of 50% chance of getting correct, right? You don't want to miss out on that. I would say if you eliminate, if you're able to eliminate even one option, you should attempt it, but that is a bit over the top. But if you eliminate two options, you should definitely attempt it. That is one thing that you should keep in mind. You can practice it in your mock test and you will understand that your marks are much better when you do this compared to the ones when you used to leave all those things which leave all those questions which you are really not sure about. So just imagine this situation. You have attempted 80 questions. You have left 20 questions. So out of those 20 questions, there are 10 questions in which you have eliminated at least one option or two options. Okay. So you have like 25% or 50% chance of getting them correct. Still, you have not attempted them because you are not 100% sure of it. So that is the situation. Imagine the situation. So take those 10 questions. Imagine if you have not attempted it at all. What is the situation? You have attempted 80 questions. You have left 20 questions. Out of those 20 questions, 10 questions, you have eliminated some of the options, but you are really not sure about it. So you have not attempted. So you will get 0 out of it. Like out of those 20 questions, no negative, no positive. You will be evaluated out of the 80 questions you answered, but there will be positives and negatives within those 80 questions. Okay. Now imagine the situation in which you attempt those 10 questions. All those 10 questions in which you have eliminated at least one option. So what is the worst situation that you can get in? You might get 7 of them wrong and 3 of them correct. Okay. You might get 7 of them wrong, 3 of them correct. The worst is you can get 10 of them correct. I mean, 10 of them incorrect, but that is very unlikely. You have eliminated the question based on okay. The elimination should be based on logic. You should be sure of the elimination. Okay, it's not like based on gut feeling you eliminate. The elimination that I'm talking about is they are asking about persons who have participated in Quit India struggle, and there is an option of a person who have passed out in 18th century or 19th century. Obviously, that person won't be participating in Quit India struggle, right? So you eliminate that person. So like that, you're sure of that elimination, and if you have eliminated such an option, then you have a 50 or 25% chance of getting it correct. So you getting 10 out of 10 wrong is a very unlikely chance. If you're very unlucky and you're wrong in all of your facts, that may happen, but it's very unlikely. So I am considering the worst case situation where you are informed, we have made informed decision about elimination and about selection of the final answer. You might get 7 wrong and 3 correct. Even in that situation, you get positive marks. Okay, given the marking pattern of UPSC, you get 2 marks for your correct answers and you get 2/3 negative. So even if you get 7 wrong and 3 correct, you get positive. And for the other options which are far better, like you get 6 wrong, 4 correct, still you get better marks. You get 5 wrong, 5 correct, still you get better marks. So that is the logic behind it. And this comes when you go through multiple rounds. You eliminate all, I mean, you must have marked all the questions you are sure about. So all those questions are over. So in the second round and third round, these kind of questions will be remaining. These 10, 15, 20 questions in which you are not really sure about, but you must have eliminated some of the answers. So that is when this logic and this probability calculation will work. Okay, that is why I'm saying this. You should do this round thing. You should go through multiple rounds through the question papers. And like I said, even if you don't know the answers, or if you are not able, even if you are not able to eliminate any of the options in first reading, you will be able to do that in second reading and third reading. Trust me, because you might feel like, oh, I don't know anything about this question, and when you read it the third time, you'll be like, okay, why didn't I think of this? You will get that feeling. So go through the questions for multiple rounds if it's possible. That is how you save time. Okay, by marking these things. And what I used to do was, sometimes if I'm not very sure about an option, but still I think it's correct, I will put a tick mark and I will just do a question mark beside that. So all these things you can try out and make your own strategies. These are things that I used to do. You don't have to blindly copy this. You can develop far better strategies actually, compared to myself. You can do better. Then one thing that you can do is, um, also marking the questions which you want to uh, attempt in second round. That is also important. So suppose you have marked the question in the first round itself, you should not go to it in the second round. So what you can do is, you can either cross out the whole question, or what you can do is, you can do the exact opposite thing. You can mark the questions which you should go to in the first round itself. For example, I attempted the first question, I marked the option. I attempted the second question. I don't know the. I'm reading the second question. I don't know the answer, but I am able to eliminate one option. So I am thinking, okay, I should go back to this in the second round. So what I do is, I will put a circle on the number two, and if it's very important to me, I feel like, okay, I'll get this question. I should read this. I should read this. I should give this priority. If I feel like that, I'll put like 2 arrow marks also beside that circle. So these are like stupid things that I used to do, but it helps. But when you come to the second round, you immediately go to those questions which has a round and arrow marks beside it. And there will be questions which I don't know at all. Like, there will be like factual questions in which there are no statements. There will be 4 names or 4 places names or 4 person names. I don't know anything about it. So it's stupid to attempt it. Okay. You have not, like, you have very less chance of getting it correct. So these are the questions which I usually leave. Out of the, I told you I leave like 7-8 questions usually. So these are the questions which I usually leave. So for those questions, what I do is, I put uh, like what, a line on that question just to denote. You can have your own marking methods. Okay, I'm just telling my marking methods. So you should denote the questions based on its nature. You should denote a question in which you have marked the option in OMR. You should denote the question in which you should come prioritize the questions we should prioritize and come to in second round. You should mark the questions which you are like 90% sure you are not going to get the answer. Also, what you can do is, if you have attempted all the questions in one page, UPSC gives it as pages. So on the left side, there will be Hindi version of the questions. On the right side, there will be English version of the questions. So if you are attempting Hindi version, go only through the left side. If you are attempting only English, go through the right side only. So sometimes you will have marked all the questions of a side that you don't even need to go to that side. So just cross out the whole page. Okay. So that helps when you are going at the second round and third round, and there are like 5 minutes left for the exam to end. At that point, you'll be very tense. You will be in a situation to mark at least 1-2 questions to increase your chance of getting into the list. So at that point of time, don't even bother reading the questions and waste your time. If you have finished one page, just cross it out. If you're finished with that page, you can also cross out the questions also like that. Given like that is your choice, that you can do also. So you can simply mark the question number, something like that you can do on the question paper. So it's not like you should not write anything. You should write and you should mark and you should use the question paper to the maximum. You should abuse your question papers so that it helps you to save a lot of time. You should not go through the options and questions that you have read once, twice and all, and again read it and waste time. So this is something that you can do. This is a tip that you can do to save a lot of time. That has helped me to save a lot of time. So I told you about that arrow mark which I put of different lengths, right? So this thing comes in handy when 5 minutes or 2 minutes are left. So you will be given a warning bell before the exam is going to end. So they are saying like 5 minutes is left. So that is the time everyone panics. Everyone will be like, oh my God, I haven't attempted enough. Blah, blah, blah. So at this time, this crossing out thing in which you don't have to go through that questions anymore helps. Also, this marking of this answers will help. So what I do is, if I have only 2 minutes left and I'm sure that I won't be able to think clearly about the options and eliminations and stuff, what I do is I go through the question. I just go through those options. I won't even read it. I will just take the question, and I can see the arrow marks beside the options, right? So I must have eliminated like two options. I have put some arrow marks beside the remaining options, and there is a longer arrow mark beside one option. So that is the option that I read, and I have felt like this has a more probability to become the answer, right? I won't even read that option. I will just mark that option. So I have done this multiple times in my prelims. In my first attempt in 2017, I marked 4 questions like that. When 2 minutes was remaining, I marked 4 questions, not even reading the questions or options, just based on that marking I have done, because I already read it and made my calculations, made my guesses, made my logic, applied my logic, and I felt like, okay, this has a greater probability, but I couldn't really fixate on one of the options. I was split between two of the options, but I still has a tendency to believe that this one has a greater probability to become the answer. So I put a longer arrow mark beside it. So I just selected the longer arrow marks and just marked it in the OMR. I got all the 4 answers correct in that attempt, and I have been repeating that in all my prelims, and I have got them wrong also, but still it's like that. If there are like 6 questions and you get 3 correct and 3 wrong, you get positive marks. These are marks that you will not get if you had not attempted those questions, right? So it still helps you. So that is how you push. That is how you push through the questions, like push through the questions so that you can attempt each and every question. There will be some questions here you will not be able to attempt. That you can leave. Like, these factual questions are the best choice for that. You can leave those questions. You can be at peace of mind. You don't need to worry, because those are the factual questions that you may not even get, and you might get negative marks also for that. Like I said, those are not even statements. There will be like 4 or 5 words. I mean, 4 options which are like names, place names, or something like that. And if you don't know the answer to it at all, and you can't even eliminate any of it, you can leave it. But other questions, like especially statement questions, there will be something in that option that enables you to eliminate it. Even if you don't know the subject or the statement at all, just read it 2-3 times and think logically. UPSC puts these questions. There was one time in which UPSC asked about the list of items, gave a list of items, and asked which of the items are not included in GST or something. Nobody must have gone through GST list, but still people were able to answer those questions and correctly, because they applied the logic. Even I got it correct. I thought I would leave that question, but and in the third round, when I went through the options, it was easy to eliminate, because there were some items in which there was no logic. Okay, so I was able to eliminate, and like, even if you eliminate like one of the options or statements, the combination will be such that you will be able to get the correct answer. Okay, so you have to get to a practice in which you should be able to attempt at least like 97, 98. Try attempting 100 questions in mock test series, because when you go to prelims, you will be more skeptical. You will attempt lesser questions, but you should keep in your mind that you should increase your attempts. I'm not saying that you should blindly attempt 90 and get 30 wrong. That is also a bad thing to do. But if you have enough practice of elimination, if you have enough practice of mock tests, if you have enough preparation of the basic things like NCERT, Modern India, Lakshmi Kant, then be confident at attempt the questions. Okay, it's a worse feeling to come out of the question, I mean, exam hall, and feel like you have not attempted enough, okay, than to attempt it and get it wrong. It's a worst feeling. I have gone through that in my first prelims, in which I hadn't done enough practice. I regretted it a lot. I was like, what if I had attempted 10 more questions? So that was the feeling that haunted me for 1 year. So it is a worse feeling to have lesser attempts than to attempt it and get it wrong. If you attempt it and get it wrong, also you'll feel bad. I'm not saying you'll feel good about it, but still, it's a much better feeling to attempt it and get it wrong compared to the feeling in which you feel like you have attempted very less. So try to push through the questions, try to find the loopholes, like push through so that you get to 90 plus. That's a very good pace to be in. If you have applied your logic and eliminated stuff and go to 91 point in 93, etc. in you actually UPSC prelims, that's a pretty good place to be in. You will have a good chance of clearing the prelims. So all of these things you should practice. I couldn't overstate, I couldn't overestimate the importance of practice. I will keep on saying it. Practice a lot. Practice a lot. I'm saying this with my own experience. I've cleared 4 prelims, and practice is something that have got me through, even in attempts in which I haven't studied a lot. There were attempts in which I skipped the topics altogether. I didn't study geography in 2 attempts. I didn't study medieval India in 2 attempts. So even in those attempts, I practiced questions of geography and practice questions of medieval India. Okay. So practice all these questions. Practice questions in mock test series. Do 20 questions a day if it's possible for you. It is possible. You can do that. You can find time. Like I said, sitting and simply studying will not help you. It will help you if you do the practice. Only then it will help you. Otherwise, it will not help you. So practice a lot. Practice a lot of questions. Even if you are getting a lot of negatives now, go through. Also, one thing that I want to mention is like studiously go through the answer keys of the question. So I never read many I haven't read many standard books. For example, I haven't read Biban Chandra. I haven't read the standard book of medieval India, which is like Satish Chandra, I guess. I have only read Spectrum. Okay. Then for for medieval India, I have read only NCRTs and Tamil Nadu SCRT for some topics. Then I haven't read Ramesh Singh, which is like the standard book for economics. I haven't read many standard books. So still I was able to get many of the questions because of the mock test and the keys. So you will have a lot of gaps in your knowledge. No matter how hard you prepare, there will be some gaps in your knowledge, which is like facts, which may be concepts. So these gaps gets filled through the mock test. You might get some answers wrong in mock tests. Go through that answers. Why did you get it wrong? Analyze the question, analyze the test series that you do. That is very important. I used to do tests in 2 hours. Mock test takes like 2 hours, right? And I used to analyze for 3 or 4 hours. Okay. The analysis and study of question papers takes more time. So that is very important. You should go through the key, the detailed key, and you should study those things which you don't know. For example, in medieval India, you don't know a concept. For example, a question is asked about an architecture of Khiljis or architecture of Duranis or someone like that. Delhi Sultanate's a particular dynasty. A characteristic feature of architecture is asked. Imagine if you haven't studied those in NCRTs or any other books that you have learned. You got it wrong. Just study from the key. So exams, you should not separate your studies from the mock test. Mock test is part of the preparation. It's part of the preparation because it gives you practice, plus through the keys, it gives you topics to study. So study is a continuous process. It's not like study, test. That should go like that, but study happens in between test also. So never get an answer wrong twice. If you have gotten one answer wrong in your mock test or practice test or whatever questions you are attempting daily, never get it wrong again. Okay. So that is how you improve. Even if you're getting negatives now, that will not happen again. No? You will get it wrong, you learn it. So maximum questions you do, you get maximum learning. Even if you're getting it wrong, you learn it. So that is how I used to do. That is how my knowledge improved. I hadn't studied a lot through standard books. So these academies which set the question papers will be setting questions from the standard books. And if I don't know it, I study from the key. Okay. So that is something you can do. Don't waste like don't spend like 10 hours on a key or something. Don't by heart the keys and stuff, but fill your gaps. Fill the gaps in your knowledge using keys. That is very important. I forgot to mention it initially, but you should do that. So it's not like you go do a question paper in 2 hours and just leave it. Look at the look at your marks. You got like 90 correct, 10 incorrect. Oh, I'm very happy. I got everything correct. No, go through the key, because there will be some questions in which you got it correct by luck, right? You must have corrected it, got it correct by luck also. So just go through the key, have a quick go through the key and study those things which you don't know, and revise. Revision is very important. Revise, 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 and revise, revise, and revise again. So if you go through a full test series of one academy or whatever it is, one full test series you do, and you do the study all the of the key also, you revise it. So that will help a lot. So I think the time is 12:10, and I think I have covered most of the things that I have like thought about. It's mostly about that only. If you have any kind of doubts, I'm happy to answer, and probably then I'll be able to clear more doubts.